welcome back to the podcast. So, since it's October, I decided to tell my top three scary stories that have happened in my life thus far. And just as a disclaimer, these three stories are all true. These are three stories that have actually happened to me. So, hopefully, you don't get too scared because of it. But I will start out with the most moderate one first and then end with the scariest. So, for my first one, this happened back when I was 9, 10 years old, something like that. My dad took my siblings and I to the circus, and I remember that me and my sister were walking back to the truck together. My dad and my brother were talking further behind us, and Dad said, just wait by the truck. So we were walking to the truck, and out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a clown watching us and then start to follow us. And since my sister was younger than me, I didn't want to freak her out too much. Besides, we were almost to the truck, just blow it off. By the time we got to the truck, the clown had disappeared, and that's what scared me the worst. Because I didn't know where this clown was. I don't know what he was doing, but all I knew is that we made it to the truck safe. And since then, I've had a fear of clowns. And when the movie It came out, my friend wanted to go see it with me, and I told her flat out, I'm like, listen, girl, there's no way you can take me to a movie where there's a killer clown that rips an arm off a kid in a sewer and is called It. Not gonna do it. You cannot pay me enough to do it. And then a few years ago now, with the whole mass hysteria about clowns walking around at night, getting caught on camera, stalking people, it's just way creepier. And luckily I live in the country, so we have not had one clown sighting here, but hopefully we never will. But you never know. So for my second story, this took place about April, this last May, late April, early May. It was cold out yet, a little bit at night, and I worked to 11:30 at night. And I remember parking on the far side of the parking lot. Now there's only one light that shows on that part of the parking lot, and it's kind of a really dim light. They have to change a light bulb because I remember it being really dark. And I remember walking to my car after locking up, and I stopped because I saw something right next to the trunk of my car. And it was big, and it looked like a large dog. I'm like, I have not seen a Great Dane in the area, so could this just be a lost dog? But it was huge. And when I say huge, I mean the back part of its body was about 2 inches above the back of my trunk. It was big. And I remember seeing it, and I whipped out my phone to put on the flashlight app to see what it actually was, because the lighting wasn't too good for me to make it out that well. And as soon as I turned on the flashlight, of course, you know how crappy the distance is for the flashlight on the phone. My heart was racing. I didn't know what it was, and I wanted to not get attacked. So being the idiot I am, I started walking closer to it. And then when I got in a distance so I can unlock my car with my keys, I pressed the unlock button, and as soon as I turned that unlock button on, it turned to me, and for a split second my heart stopped because I'm like, oh God, now it sees me. And then I clicked my keys again to unlock the door, and then it ran away. And then I saw it run to the woods that is kind of connected to where I work now. And I ran to my car, got in my car, locked the doors, and like sped away because I didn't want to mess with it anymore. But that entire ride home, I could not help but think it was following me. I know how paranoid I can get with scary stuff like that, but I swear it was following me. And when I got home, I got inside and I made sure the door was locked, lights were off, whatever. I went to bed that night and I just could not stop thinking about it. It was so big. And then I thought, what if I saw a werewolf? Or even worse, what if I saw a skinwalker? And this story kind of leads into my next story. Now, this happened a few years ago in the summertime, and I don't know if any of you open your windows and curtains up at night to let fresh air in when you're sleeping. And that night, I went to bed, and I had my and this was a weekend. I remember it was a weekend because I didn't have to get up early the next morning. And I remember hearing something sniffing at my window. You know how some dogs sniff really loud and stuff, like, you know, like really, really loud. And I'm like, what the heck? So I get up, I turn on my lamp, and I face it down. After I blind myself, I face it down by the corner of my bed to see if my dog was actually sleeping there. Because sometimes when she sleeps, she makes that same noise. She wasn't even there, and that started to freak me out. So I kept on hearing sniffing, and then I looked towards my window, and I see what looked like a nose of a dog pressed up against my screen on my window. And I slowly turn my lamp to face my window. The sniffing stops like immediately. And then I still see it pressed against my window, and I said, "Go away. Leave me alone." And I knew I wasn't dreaming because I actually slapped myself and it hurt. So I'm like, yeah, I ain't dreaming. And then I remember it turning towards me. It looked like a dog mixed with a human, but like more like a human face, but with a dog muzzle, if that makes any sense. And then the scariest part of this experience was when it smiled at me. Now, the smile was big and just scary, and I remember my heart actually almost stopping because I was like, oh my god, it's gonna come through my window and it's gonna tear me to pieces. And it just looked at me for about a minute, and then it just ran off. Now, an interesting thing about my house is our shed has a giant solar light on it, and it's super bright, especially at nighttime. It's very bright. And I remember looking out my window to see where it had gone, and I couldn't see it anywhere. And then as soon as I didn't see it, I closed my windows and shut my curtains. And I went back to bed, and my heart just was racing, and thoughts were going through my mind, just racing and racing and racing. And then the next day, I woke back up, went outside to look under my window to see if I could see any evidence if something was actually there. Well, I have a hydrangea bush underneath that window, and it's a tall window. It's not a short window to the ground. And you would have to be a really tall dog to put your muzzle halfway on the screen to sniff at it. And I remember telling my mom what happened, and she thought that it probably was a dream, whatever. And then I showed her the branch that had broken in the hydrangea bush. And she said, well, it could have been from the winds we've had this past week because we had a really windy week. And from then on, I just every night since then, even in the summertime, I've had my curtains always drawn because I don't want to see anything outside my window late at night. I refuse to look out there and even get more scared. But going into my thing about night walkers is that recently there have been stories popping up on the internet about skinwalkers and people getting skinwalkers on video. So I'm going to go into some facts about skinwalkers. Now, skinwalkers is the legend of a skinwalker is based on the Navajo, and that's a southwestern Native American tribe. And in the Navajo language, the word skinwalker is, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but I'll try my best, is Yi Nag Lo Sashi, and it translates to he who walks on all fours. Now, a skinwalker is a person with the ability to transform into any different type of animal at will. Coyotes, wolves, foxes, eagles, owls, or crows are some examples. Some can also steal the faces of different people and can appear as someone you know, like your mom, your dad, your sibling, or even your grandparent. And they say if you accidentally lock eyes with a skinwalker, they can absorb themselves into your body and take control of your actions, kind of like a puppeteer does with a puppet, which is super creepy. Skinwalkers have only entered the public relatively recently compared to the other phenomenon. In 1996, a team of scientists ventured to a Utah ranch to investigate a series of the bizarre phenomenon. And what they found is just the pictures that I've seen that people have taken of skinwalkers, or what they think of skinwalkers, is so creepy and so accurate for what happened in my two stories. And if their powers are not enough, skinwalkers can also are said to be able to run incredibly long distances. Some say over 200 miles in one evening. It's just, while they can take many forms, many people who see them today describe them as hollowed out dog-like animals. Skinwalkers are said to recruit more skinwalkers themselves. There is some dispute in how this happens, but some say that there is an official ceremony that skinwalkers only take their form with a gathering of people that specifically chant for them to become a skinwalker. Skinwalkers are most commonly considered near native reservations, though they have been seen all over the United States. Some people believe the rake, which is commonly encountered in the Northeast, is similar to the skinwalker. And I just can't believe, like now, that I might have actually seen a skinwalker those 2 times. I don't know if it's the same one, if it's a different one, I have no idea, but honest to God, I hope I never see one again. So that is my 3 top horror stories, and I hope you all listen again and come back to this podcast, and I hope every single one of you has a great day, and see you later. Bye.